0 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of normal, 7, 8, 9, less 10 seconds.
A perfect liftoff.
Over 200 liftoffs have been possible because of one man.
PSLV negotiating the dense atmosphere.
The brilliant Nambi Narayanan was part of the core team at ISRO. A genius that even NASA wanted to get their hands on.
3, 2, 1.
In 1994, he successfully thrust India to the PSLV era. Conveniently, days later, Nambi Narayanan was branded a spy and put behind bars.
I'm a rocket scientist.
We're just getting started.
Just as India was at the precipice of making it in the space race, a well-timed cocktail of political motivations, honey-trapping claims, and a global conspiracy derailed it all.
More than 2 decades ago, a hard-working and patriotic ISRO scientist, Nambi Narayanan, was implicated in a false case just because a few UDF leaders were setting political scores.
Nambi Narayanan was later acquitted and vindicated.
Shri Shankar Lingam Nambi Narayanan, Vigyan Evam Engineering.
But his fight for justice is far from over. This is the story the nation needs to know, and the nation wants to know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It has been quite a while since I recorded the last episode of The Nation Wants to Know. We get so busy with the day's news agenda that we hardly get a time to step back and have these longer conversations. And today it's a complete pleasure and privilege to restart The Nation Wants to Know for a new edition with 2 guests. One of my guests is someone who I'm a long-standing fan of. He's a person from my generation. I identify closely with him. He's made us laugh, amused us, entertained us. His smile has many, many fans all over the country swooning over him still. And that is none other than R. Madhavan, the very, very acclaimed actor and now, if I may say so, filmmaker, fantastic human being, interesting person in his own right. So thank you, Madhavan, for joining me today.
Thank you, Vine.
Thank you.
It's truly an honor.
And my chief guest, if I may say so, on this episode is someone whose life I have followed through the media, through writings, through narrations of controversies, through a book, by interviewing him earlier on a couple of other occasions where I've marveled at him, and now through this major motion picture called Rocketry, which has been produced, made by Madhavan, and the person who's the chief guest on this episode is none other than someone I love and admire deeply and personally, Nambi Narayanan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How do I introduce Nambi Narayanan? Just that I can say he's the most understated man. His contribution to the country's contemporary history is unmatched. No number of awards would really be enough to be showered on him to acknowledge what his contribution to India's space program has been. And somewhere ironically, viewers, Nambi sir is someone whose life's twists and turns and the great difficulties he's been through, the incarceration he has been through, has been held so silently and with so much grace that when the entire truth comes out in a movie like this, we all step back and we actually pinch ourselves and we ask, did it really happen? Did we allow it to happen? Why are we getting to know about it so late? And most importantly, what if it didn't happen, viewers? What if Nambi Narayanan had not been labeled a spy? What if Nambi Narayanan had not been incarcerated, put in jail, his career put on the line? What if Nambi Narayanan's entire work in the development of a cryogenic engine for India had actually put India where it belongs or should have been in the global space program 20, 25, 30 years back? What if, ladies and gentlemen, where would India have been? So these are some of the questions I hope to look at today. And I am deeply privileged by sharing the stage once again with you today. Sir.
Thank you.
And I'm grateful to Madhavan for making this film. So Madhavan, I'll start by saying this. I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday after my show to prepare for this interview and watch the film.
Thank you.
Well done, Madhavan.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'm very flattered that of all the things that you said, but just to make sure that our viewers don't misunderstand us, I want to confirm that I sent you a screener and you watched it on that screener and not on a on a pirated video.
So unless both of us get arrested right now. No, it so happened that I told you that that Madhavan, I feel underprepared if I don't watch it, and you were kind enough to send me a screener, encrypted video file on which I saw it. So we've not broken any rules.
That is right.
But well done, Madhavan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I want to start with you, Nambi sir. What does this film mean to you? A film on you, a biopic in that sense. But so much has happened. So much is written about your life. What does this film mean to you?
This film means a lot. A lot in the sense it brings out my real contribution to the country. What I have done, starting from a small 600 kg toy rocket in liquid to a 60-tonner, which is called as Vikas. That story, that contribution over the period of 19 years is very well brought out in this film, systematically, step by step. It is not from a 600 kg I jumped to 60 ton, 600 kg, 3 ton, and then some joint development in, it's a story which is worth watching for you to understand how difficult it is technically to make this engine. And incidentally, as you know, that this engine has never failed. 53 times it has been launched successfully, and not even a single failure to ISRO's own missions, including Chandra and Mangalyaan and various PSLV missions, etc. So this story means a lot, and it brings out exactly what my contributions are. And also, it tells us how I suffered both in-house as well as outside to achieve this goal. And that is in a small scale, if I may say. It brings out the sufferings one goes through in the process. So that's it. I wanted people to know it, and people are going to know about it.
In a way, I think, Madhavan, that if Nambi sir had, if I look at it, the fullness of it, I think he was incarcerated for the work that he was doing. I think people wanted to fix him. He got caught in political intrigue, he got caught in conspiracies. But did he pay a price for doing what he was doing? He was trying to develop a space engine, I'm putting it in layman terms, which would have placed India in a different orbit in the space race. Did he pay the price for that?
He paid, not only him, I think the country paid along with him. In our own naivety, not realizing the kind of intellectual assets that we had, not supporting our technocrats, not protecting our scientists, be it from ISRO or from BARC or from the atomic energy. Random deaths happening over a period of last 10 years, and bodies of scientists being found on the railway tracks. People who would be considered as a national asset in other countries and protected with the best guards that they have. Us not knowing that, not celebrating that, not acknowledging that, we will continue to shoot ourselves in the feet every day. And many might ask, what is the point of spending so much money on rocket science or interplanetary travel when there are so many people suffering from hunger and diseases around the world? But for those, my only line is that everything from road safety to helping underdeveloped children survive, from the internet to any medication that you have, arthroscopy, everything is a result of development of interplanetary travel as well as space research, including our internet. And that is why it is so important that we protect our intellectual capitals. And Mr. Nambi Narayanan paid a huge price. I mean, the only reason I was provoked to make this film is when I went to meet him and he told me...
when was that?
It was in late 2016. And while I was talking to him, he was agitated. He was angsty. He had.
Where did you meet him?
I met him in. I actually.
You went to meet him?
Went to meet him in Trivandrum.
What made you go to meet him?
One of my directors at that time, Mr. Anant Mahadevan, told me in as many words that there's a spy case story in ISRO, good-looking scientist having an affair with a Maldivian woman, and then he was arrested and almost killed, and then he was released and they found that he was innocent. So my question to him was he really innocent, or was there a story that we can work on? And he said, yeah, most probably he's innocent. That's all anybody ever knew about Nambi Narayanan in 2016. When I went to meet him and I saw him, Arnab, I knew immediately that I was missing something huge. I was missing a large picture because this man's demure, his aura was saying a lot more than what he was talking about even. He was talking about the case, and like I was saying, angsty, angry, tears in his eyes, emotional, and saying this is how a horrible and concocted case this is, and this is the movie. And he assumed that I was going to make a movie on the case. And I asked him, I said, Nambi sir, you've been proved innocent and vindicated almost 15 years ago. Why are you so angsty about it? Why are you so emotional about it? And he just looked at me and said, you know it, I know it, the court knows it. We'll put my name on the Google and see what comes out. And sure enough, it says Nambi Narayanan of the ISRO spy case fame. And even now, even till the day before the film came out, people still believe that he might have had some involvement with the spy case, or that his family would have been involved in some way or the other. And then I said, this is rubbish. That made me feel that this was wrong. So let's make a film on this spy case. And that's how I started, Arnab. Only 7 months later, when I went back to him, he saw the script, he said, very good. And then he said, but this part is wrong because I went to Princeton to study stability theorem under Krakow when this happened. I said, when did you go to Princeton? Why would you, I mean, are you talking about Luigi Krakow, who's considered to be the father of the moon mission and everything? Is that the guy you're talking about? He said, yeah, I did my thesis under him in 10 months. Good morning. So my name is Nambi Narayanan. I'm from India. I'm here on a full scholarship for the solid fuel program, but I want to study desperately liquid fuels under you. Sir, I've read all your papers, especially the theory on the relation between thermodynamics and fluid kinematics, and what a lovely piece of work, sir. Sir, I've sent you many applications, but I can understand why you didn't reply to me.
Are you serious? How did you find me? Who gave you my address?
A Russian, Yuri.
You're wasting your time. My hands are full. What you're asking for is impossible. Goodbye.
Being a science fan, that blew my head because nobody does their thesis under Professor Krakow. He takes 10 years to pass people up. And I was under the impression that maybe Nambi sir has become delusional. I don't know what he's talking about at that point in time. No, in all honesty. And that's when he started talking about his other life. Princeton, the adventurers in Scotland and France, 52 scientists pretending not to know how to speak French, learning how to build a liquid fuel engine to USSR at that time, and how they smuggled engine from right under the nose of the Kremlin as well as the US. And it was a baffling story. And I told him, I said, when were you planning to tell me this? I've been spending 7 months trying to write this script. Why would you not talk about it? Why would that not be mentioned in your book? Why would there not be any mention of it in the internet? And he says, what is there to talk about? I mean, they paid me my salary, I did my job. And that's the way it struck me that there were two types of patriots in this country. One that actually go out bearing their chest in a hail of bullets and give their lives for the country, and their contributions, absolutely have to be acknowledged and praised and sung about. And I'm sorry, but others like him who know very well that they'll never be acknowledged or sung, their lives are in danger on an everyday basis. But yet, they go out and do the service for the country like nobody. So the price that he's paid for it, I don't think any sane man would have been alive today had he paid that price. Broken, beaten, soiled clothes, bladder not in my control, career in shambles, family in shame, and on top of it all, disgraced and branded as a traitor. But you know what? You deserve to see me like this, and rightfully so.
what I've done to you, Mr. Oni.
You know, you're absolutely correct, because when I was, in all these interactions that I've had with Nambi sir, it's always been about the spy case. And my essential belief that this man is completely innocent. And the only narrative that is built around you, Nambi sir, is that of the colossal injustice that you went through. But that is it. That is what it has been till now. In fact, for anyone who has not read your book or known in detail about you, what he's saying is correct. Many people would not even know about what you've done before 1994, before the spy case actually came to light. So I think that's amazing. Why have you underplayed it? Why? Okay, let me put it to you differently. When you were arrested, and when everything happened after that, and your family, what it went through, and which is all depicted in the movie, why did you never scream from the rooftops talking about your own professional background, what you had done for the country, your achievements, your service for the country? Because if there was one thing which actually would have left you unblemished, it is what you had done for the country. That the worst thing that can happen is a person with your record being called a spy. Why did you never play up your own life story yourself, Nambi sir? Why didn't you do that?
Arnab, the allegation is that I have sold rocket secrets. Assuming that I keep telling that whatever I have done for this country doesn't mean that allegation is true or untrue. My job at that time, till that time, I was getting paid for the job, and then I had a dream. I had a dream of making this country as a superpower, space power. I never thought that it is necessary for me to boast around and talk about it, etc. And there are certain areas where it is not necessary, it is not wise to talk about many things what you have achieved, because I don't want the entire world to know what we are doing in depth. That is one part of it. But the other part is, now I am being told that I am charge sheeted saying that I have done this crime. So at that time, in my presence, in front of me, it is necessary to prove that I am innocent. So I kept on talking about that. I didn't do this crime. I have not met these ladies. I don't know anything what you are talking about. And my mind was telling me that I have to prove that I am innocent, which I was working on. It never occurred to me that by saying that I have contributed this much to the nation, etc., will help me out in that sense. That's the reason why I was not screaming.
Why did you think so? Because, okay, what if, the world didn't know, your detractors, your critics did not know about your background and the fact that you had put your own life at risk, that you had taken tremendous challenges, you had given up many opportunities, and people accusing you of taking a bribe to spy on your own country would perhaps have not been able to speak back had they known that you had given up all financial opportunities in life to serve your country. You had enough material out there. Why did you never use that material to defend yourself?
You see, the point is certain aspects of the cryogenic contract with the Russians. It was to be scrapped based on the US direction. And then the associated activities with that, which was done with the knowledge of some of the very top officials of ISRO. I felt, and it is mandatory, and I also think even now I am right, not to talk about this in public. It is not necessary. Why should I talk about it? What is necessary is to bring that technology to the country and then make the country powerful and then meet my goal, namely that space power. So honestly, even today, I never feel bad for not talking about it. Why should I talk about it? What do I gain by that? By talking about it, do you think that I will prove I am innocent? But I have to prove my innocence through the other methods. I have not seen this. I have not seen these girls or ladies who are talking about. So that is how it went through. It is also, this is known to the chairman of the organization and to the topmost people of the organization in the country. So there is nothing for me to talk about. In spite of that, this is happening to me. So to whom should I go and tell that I have done this much? And why are you telling me that I have done this crime? To whom? To public? I don't think so. People who mattered, they knew what is what.
Wow.
You see, this is most important for me.
The people who mattered knew.
Yes.
But how many stood by you?
In the beginning, yes, nobody stood by me.
So why? Why is it, and the question which comes to my mind, and many viewers of this movie will ask themselves, that when one of India's best minds in the world of space, an area where we still don't have, we have not harnessed that kind of brain power yet, when one of the greatest, or perhaps the greatest mind in that area, who's experimenting in an area which can be completely transformative for the future of this country, is made to go through this, why is he lonely? When you, by your own admission, are saying that the biggest people, the most powerful people, the knowledgeable people, the people in the sector knew your background and therefore knew your innocence, why were you lonely? Why were you left on your own, even if it for a day or a month? I don't know how many months, but why?
I'll try to answer that question. Take for example, during the year 1994, we never had the cryogenic technology. The cryogenic technology comes 10 years later. But the allegation is I have sold the cryogenic technology. Now the cryogenic technology is not there with us, is known to all, everybody. Number two, they say that this cryogenic technology is used to make missiles. Even today, there is not even a single missile in the world using the cryogenic technology. Now, these are two facts I just presented for your information. Now tell me, forget about this case. These are the two allegations. Now tell me why this, you think that this allegation, these truths are not known to the people concerned, including my chairman ISRO? They know. But then the question is why they didn't answer. I think you should find the answer from them, not from me. But I can try to tell them why they should. It was a shock for them. They did not know. See, in ISRO, we are a different community. This community minds its own business. Now, all of a sudden, something comes like this, they were all wonderstruck. But why I say this is, after some time, after 2 years, the people like Professor Satish Dhawan, Professor U.R. Rao, Yashpal, University Grants Commission Chairman, Professor Chandrasekhar, and Rodam Narasimha, all these people came out with a open letter. In that open letter, they categorically said what we are talking about.
Which year was this?
That is 1994 this case occurred. This was 1996 or 97. They came out with a open letter published all over the press. Now my question to you is, can I say my people didn't react to this? The point I can make maximum is they didn't react in the proper time. They didn't say this in the proper time. But then still your question is valid. Even for a day, they say, let me not ask any other favor from them. I am not asking any favor from anybody. For that matter, I don't want their support at all. My point is that, is it not true that we didn't have the cryogenic technology? Is it not their duty bound to say this loud and clear? We didn't have this technology, how the hell we can sell this technology?
That's the point. See, so Madhavan, that's precisely the point. When the clarification is given, it comes 2 years late. Now there are two ways we can look at it. We can look at it in terms of the impact that it has had on Nambi sir and his family personally, which is documented in your film. A person who's then 53 or 54 years old in his prime is going to become the chairman, is going to lead ISRO and wants to accelerate it at the peak of his career, as he says himself in his book, all comes tumbling down. My concern, if you don't mind my saying, is not as much about Nambi Narayan at this point as it is about the space program. If, when he was arrested, if the next day the people you knew or people at ISRO or India's space scientists, or the government which knew, had issued a one-line statement that this technology he is accused of selling does not exist with us, then the case would have been over and our space efforts would not have been set back by 20 years.
That's exactly the point. I mean, how much fear is good fear? How much being cautious is good enough for anybody? I mean, you have the greatest of minds working in the greatest of the departments, and from everybody, who has worked with him, from Dr. Kalam to U.R. Rao to everybody. They might have been taken aback, but a delayed statement, simple a statement saying India does not have a cryogenic technology that is worth selling to any country in the world is enough to have killed the case. It was enough to have him vindicated, was enough to put the whole program back in track.
Why didn't that happen?
I just wish I knew. I really wish I knew. I mean, how many conspiracy theories can we pull out of that particular fact? Tell me.
Many.
And so, and how many of them were keen to hold back ISRO's progress? The key thing is, everybody knew how key Nambi Narayan sir's contribution was to all the departments that he was functioning at that one point of time. I think the mistake that ISRO might have made is put all that responsibility on one man. But fortunately or unfortunately, he's the genius who knew how to handle that.
You can't blame him for his talent.
Exactly.
क्योंकि मेरे सामने जो देख रहा हूँ उसे देखकर मेरा खून खोल रहा है. Nambi Narayanan, project director of cryogenic, project director of second stage, project director of third stage, associate project director of TSL.
And so, like we say in the film, he was in charge of many departments, and it was the lowest hanging fruit, easiest to just knock off, and then everything comes to a crashing halt. And like he says in his own words, from then till today, we haven't built an engine that can lift 1 gram more. It was the easiest thing to do. So I don't know why it took. I mean, Arnab, I have the greatest amount of respect for you for all that you've been through, almost as much as Nambi sir. It just takes a few people with integrity to step forward and say, this is what the fact is. And a lot of things will be put back in place, but it doesn't happen. And I think as a nation, we have to question ourselves deeply to know where we are heading, before we will learn to keep quiet all the time.
No, my silence is baffling. His silence is baffling. It was not about a company's interest or an individual's interest. It was about a nation's interest. And it was a systematic persecution. It was not only you, it was everyone who was working with you in your department. It was the cryogenic program. Now, what I want you to tell the viewers, Nambi sir, if this had not happened in '94, and you described the day when you were arrested, and you were completely taken aback, if that day had not happened, where would we be in the world of space as a country? If that had just not happened, if you would ask yourself today, we're recording this today 22, that was one bad dream. If it had not happened, you had continued, where would you have taken the program and where would the country have been? In as many layman terms, if you can explain this for the wider audience, please.
It's only probability. The probability wise, we would have made the cryogenic technology perfect as originally planned. Originally, our planning was cryogenic, we should have it by the year 2000, 1999 or 2000. That was our planning. Of course, this problem started in '94, 5 years earlier. If the Russian contract would have gone through, we would have got the cryogenic technology without any difficulty. But even when the Russian contract broke, if this November 30th episode has not taken place, I feel I would have continued the work on the cryogenic and we would have met the schedule. Maybe 1 year delay, could be. Which means what? Which means you have a higher payload carrying capability. Which means that you could compete in the international market for launching satellites. At that time, you must remember that the potential launch market, satellite market itself was in the order of about $300 billion. It is a large money. I'm not saying that you will get all the $300 billion, but if it is 50% or 25%, it's still a huge money, number one. And why I say this money will come to us, because ours is a reliable system. I told you earlier that the Vikas engine has never failed. Now, A, you are reliable, and B, your caste is 1/3 of others' caste. So it's a political market. A country which likes you will come to you automatically, and a country which is neutral will come to you because of the caste, and a country who doesn't like you will never come to you and you don't bother about it. So, but the point I am making is we would have made the cryogenic system much earlier.
And that's exactly what we need to do too. First, we make our Vikas engine completely indigenous. And then, doesn't matter what it takes, we make our cryogenic engine completely indigenous.
Then from there on, as you know very well, we have not planned for interplanetary travels, because Professor Dhawan made it very clear that he will do the planning only up to the launch vehicles for satellites. He wanted the next generation to take care of that. Now that planning would have started.
Who would believe this was once the greatest nation in the world for science and technology? Look at us now. We keep shooting ourselves in the foot with this "what is in it for me" attitude.
Someone rightly said, this nation never lost to its invaders. We defeated ourselves with our own swords and handed the nation over to them on a platter. And this grand tradition continues even now.
See, what you saw, Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, are only time pass kind of projects. You know, we had the system, so why not we try that? And we successfully did that, Mangalyaan. We were only experimenting it. How the payload was peanut. It is, I think it's about 15 kg or so. So the Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan things would have gone, and then eventually we would have moved closer to Gaganyaan. What we are talking about would have been realized. Then you will be competing with, I don't know, you see around you, you have an Elon Musk, you have other people who are conducting space tourism, you are conducting so many things, and you know, we would have become a powerful space country. From there onwards, how it will grow up is something which is to be seen, because we didn't plan it that way. But I'm sure you will not be in this state of affairs what you are today. You would have achieved a very high carrying capability, business-wise, commercially, plus you would have also started the routing for the space travel, what you are talking about.
Doesn't it frighten you, Madhavan, that it's so easy to destroy a country's vision by targeting an individual? In this case, obviously there must have been an international conspiracy angle to this. It's not just about the market, I think the market is one part of it. It's also the question of where India can be. Somebody who's looked at space and who's considered India broadly would have analyzed, do you think, in 1994 that if we can stop this project, we can stop this project by stopping this man, because so much is vested in him. The talent, the human talent, the vision, the capacity is vested in him. Stop him, then we can stop India's progress. Do you think someone would have thought that far in 94?
It's a no-brainer. Absolutely. You know, what I'm trying to say is, let me put what Nambi sir was trying to say in layman's terms. Every country at that time, so what I'm saying is, the vulnerability of such a situation is actually baffling for me, and it's very frightening. That you can take one individual, knock him off, and put a progress, and people don't understand what this progress means to us today as we stand. Every country wanted to become, you know, mobile, have a mobile, mobile connectivity in their country, satellite, weather satellites, watchdog satellites, geostationary satellites that can monitor your presence, everything. So they had the technology to get the satellites. What they didn't have is the Uber to take it to space. And there were very few countries who were offering it. And that's the reason they took down Nambi sir, because America and France had that ability. No other person was offering them. The other person who just come out of the blue was ISRO. And they had the ability to offer the same Uber service to all the countries. We would have made tons of money. Now, why is tons of money so important for us? All that is rocket research oriented costs a lot of money. ISRO would have been self-sufficient. They wouldn't have to depend on the government for money, which is what is our biggest problem right now. They would have been able to generate their own funds for their own research, which didn't happen. That was the first and the biggest setback for ISRO. The second thing is the technology by itself was coming from stalwarts from this country who were like towers in terms of what they're capable of achieving with limited resources. We've said this in this film as well, that, that the NASA scientist tells them that, with your brain power and our facility, why would you have not chosen mankind over your country? If you had joined NASA, you would have done well for mankind because you would have taken it forward. And, you chose India over mankind. Why would you do that? And then he smiles at him and he says, yeah, of course, because for patriotism, they have your photograph in the Oxford Dictionary. That's what he meant. Yeah. And so this progress, and it's so easy to cut this progress. When today you talk about vulnerability, we couldn't be in a more vulnerable situation than ever before, because Arnab, I honestly believe in the years to come, very much faster than you and I believe, space is going to become a very integral part of our lives. You and I would have to travel to space. It is not a far-off dream. And, as we speak, the amount of attempts that are being made to colonize Moon, Mars, and it's not just wishful thinking or science fiction stories. I'm privy to the fact that these plans are in place, how to access androids, all these things. And India is in the best position in the world. Nambi sir will tell you, our launch pad in Sriharikota has 30% efficiency compared to the rest of the launch pads around the world. Only a rocket scientist anybody knows about will understand the implication of a 30% advantage from a place like Sriharikota. And that Sriharikota remains empty, where they should be having, in his opinion, 5 launches a week.
No, absolutely there is. I've just been thinking while you were detailing all of this is the consequences of what happened at that time, and the story is incredible. You must be looking back at this very often and asking yourself, what if this does not happen? What if this did not happen? But I think what also I think someone's keeping. I'm open to conspiracy theories on this one, because if you look at your life, somebody would have been mapping you. Some enemy of India would have been mapping you and saying, or some competitor of yours. I wouldn't use the word enemy. And saying, here's a person, he's unpredictable, he's a big risk taker. He's left the job in NASA, he's completed his PhD under Croco in 10 months. He's a complete and absolute outlier. He's desperate. Because the way we saw you in that movie and in your book develop this Vikas engine is an act of absolute crazy desperation. You were desperate to win to the point to which you actually you undermined a colleague's personal tragedy to make sure that the project is on track. You were desperate, which is why you went to Russia, did that James Bond kind of experiment to take the cryogenic engine out. You were desperate to accelerate India's already delayed space program. So I think somebody must have seen that desperation. Were you desperate?
I just want to correct you on one or two issues. I didn't do my PhD under Professor Croco in 10 months. It was a thesis master's degree in 10 months. That is number one.
Okay.
Number two, you mentioned that by targeting me, they were trying to do something. Actually, they were targeting a project. Now, you happen to be in that project, and so you happen to become the victim of the whole thing. What I look at is that I used to think loudly when people used to say that ISRO spends so much of money and they are not doing. I used to think that ISRO should generate its own revenue by doing the proper business. In fact, I was instrumental in many places for doing this approach. Because what is wrong? We are not doing anything wrong. And that way we wanted to achieve in the year 2020. Not 2001 and 2002, we would reach a stage where we will be able to generate our own money. Now, the question is, when here you become a commercial entrepreneur. Now, you are not being looked at as a military or that kind of a thing. If you come to business, I won't be able to stand by your side because of the fact that I will be charging, my cost is more. So that is the reason why the project was targeted. This is what...
No, I agree with you, but isn't there an element of desperation in you in all of this, that you were really desperate to accelerate the process?
Actually, I was desperate, but not because of anything else, but because of the constraint which was brought in by scrapping the contract with the Russians. Otherwise, I was okay. But when this contract is going to be scrapped, please believe me, I didn't do anything illegal. I wanted to do something legal. Legally, the contract provides advancing the payment and advancing the supply. All we did was only that.
Этот парень, он хороший, умный. Мы не можем подвести его. А в Кремле хотят знать, сможем мы это сделать или нет.
Как прикажете этого сделать? Nambi, do you have an idea how we can work it out?
Yes, we actually do.
People who were concerned about it probably did not think of that idea. They were agitated. They were probably, they were not happy. So I am only seeing the picture in a different way. I see a picture that there is a competition. You are likely to be a competitor. The competitor has to be struck down.
Yeah, you have this habit of placing things in a very matter-of-fact way,
yeah.
which Madhavan would probably agree is attempted. We would consider underplaying, but maybe that's your approach to things in life, and that's what makes you unique. But not every scientist or space scientist or a rocket scientist would carry out the kind of James Bond mission that you did. And there's that scene from the film where I was rubbing my eyes and saying, if this is reality, then I can't believe this actually happened. And I'll play some clips right now as we are talking about this part where you actually take you close a deal when the Soviet Union is crumbling, when the USSR is crumbling. You do this last-minute late-night deal. I don't know how much fictionalization there is in that, but that's completely accurate. You carry out a deal with the Russians to give you a particular cryogenic engine, and where they tell you that we can give you the engine, but we cannot take the responsibility of shipping it. And then you are on the phone call with your bosses or your colleagues in ISRO and trying to find a way for you yourself to get this engine shipped on a private airline out of Russia to Indian soil, and you actually get that plane to take off at around the time when you're going to be arrested if you don't take off on time, and then you fly that engine to Pakistan, to Karachi by stealth, and then bring that engine to India.
I think we should fly to Karachi, refuel, and then fly to Trivandrum.
Karachi? The Americans would never imagine that we would take rocket parts to a hostile enemy nation. And the Pakistanis would never search a Russian aircraft. Brilliant strategy.
So my question to you is, can you relive that moment for me? Can you relive that? Can you relive that experience of flying that engine out? What happened?
No,
Tell me about that day.
Yeah. Actually, as I told you earlier, I didn't do anything illegal. I'm even now telling. What I did was, as per the contract, I have a provision to advance my payment, and they have a provision to supply the material.
They, as in the Russians?
Yes, they have given.
Yeah.
Now the question is, they were afraid of many things, so they didn't want to, because this is under negotiation. They want to redraft the contract. Actually, they wanted to scrap the contract, where I used my, shall I say, intelligence in saying that, after all, the Americans are objecting to the fact that you are giving me the technology, right? So don't give the technology. You don't have to scrap the contract. Now instead, you just give me hardwares. You just give me engines. So no technology is given. Then they said, it looks nice. So you check with the Americans. They checked with the Americans. They said, fine. So the technology is not transferred. Now that is the loophole with which we started working on it. And then eventually we got the materials which are within the contract. The contract is not redrafted, not scrapped. But at that time, we could not get our own airlines to carry this material.
So India refused.
And India refused.
Yeah, and because they were worried whether their aircraft would be allowed to land in New York and things like that, because it happened earlier in a different occasion. So I said fine, and this guy, Ural Aviation, was willing to do it for the same price. So this is the whole truth behind it, and they have taken in some manner to, maybe shall I say, a little more increasing the tendency or in that way. But that Karachi part of it is only to, anyway they have to refuel somewhere. Now they felt that we felt that it is better that if you refuel at Karachi, nobody will believe that this material is coming through Karachi. That is only the little logic part of it.
So where did the plane fly off from with the cryogenic engine?
It went to Karachi, got it
from where? From Russia?
And then from Moscow.
From Moscow.
Moscow. And those guys were interested in not, because they wanted to make sure that this is a legal material. They didn't want to. Then it came to Trivandrum directly. And then from Trivandrum, it didn't come to Delhi. It came from...
What were you going to do with these engines?
Actually, it is not only the engines. The engines and the parts and the materials and the documents, everything was there in those 3 consignments.
So effectively, you got a technology transfer?
In a way, yes. But what...
You can be candid with me. Now it's been 28 years.
No, but I'm saying I would have, if I were to continue with that, yes, you are right. Now the point I'm saying, what makes me agitated is that I was removed from there. When you are arrested, you can't enter into that territory. Now when you were physically removed and you can't do a damn, what do you do? But by the time 1.5 years passed, I got engaged in the other work rather than this work. And also it is difficult to store everything in your brain for more than that. You imagine the attitude with which you are subjected to. And you think that I expect me to remember the cryogenic technology in my mind at that time when my wife and myself were removed from an auto rickshaw. So this is a very beautiful drama, beautifully knitted, all drafted. So I was forced to engage myself in something. I was removed from the scene. So
it was a well-crafted plan.
I think so. But I don't know. Maybe it is only later it looks to me. Originally, I thought that I am being removed. See, the whole thing is, it's not coming to my mind immediately. Once I started thinking after winning the case in the 96, then I thought, who could have done this? Why they should do it? Then slowly I did my own investigation. Actually, in the process, I learned quite a bit. And even now I can tell you in my own way that who are all the people behind it, who could have gone, what could have happened. But these are, I would say, probability, but it is going to, according to me, it is accurate. For example, when there is a Los Angeles Times reports that the Russian Senators Committee chairman wanted a cryogenic contract to be scrapped, why should I disbelieve in that? I believe that it has happened. That is a starting point. And then you issue notices to the Russians, and Russians were afraid. I have seen with my own eyes the letter written by them, though they didn't allow me to take a copy of it. So from that point onwards, it was very clear to me that this is where it starts. But then how the hell they can come and arrest me? They can't, because their color and everything is different. So there is somebody who is associating themselves with them. Now, then who could be that somebody? In that process, Arnab, it is a difficult process, and I think I am waiting for the Jains Committee's final trial. And they are given almost all the materials to conduct the trial properly. How they will conduct it and what it will happen.
I may be too old, too weak and too senile to spend all that money, but I want every single pie of that compensation. Because unless I get that money, there will always be a sword of suspicion hanging over my family that we were a family of traitors. And after sacrificing all this, I will not have that. I'm not just fighting this for myself. How many people like me? I'm fighting for all those fools who've been victims of their own patriotism, and I will fight till my last breath. I'll fight.
At least to me, they were not during the period of this spy case, but earlier, when the contract was being scrapped and when we were trying to do something. I can't do it without the approval of people. I can't carry. So for that part, when I asked, I got full support from them. Now, if that somebody is against the interest of the nation, I felt that he could not have given me that approval. He could have easily, in fact, that was the easiest thing for him to achieve what he wanted. So this is my assumption using my own experience, my own exposure to the entire case. Now, you could be correct. I am not going to rule out. Maybe not the topmost man, maybe somebody else in the vicinity of or some. I don't know. But as I said earlier, anything can happen.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 9 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Three, 2, 1, 0.
One thing became very clear, that somebody is after making us to say that we have done this crime. Now, that somebody is an Indian. Maybe it is under the instructions or as a favor to somebody else from abroad, which we are yet to understand. Now, who is that Indian is the question mark. '94 the case happened, '96 I was cleared by the CJM court, '98 I was cleared by the Supreme Court. Afterwards, till 2018, I was fighting the case, primarily an attempt to punish those people who have done this crime.
This man has fought a case on his own with no help, and he has fought the case right up to the Supreme Court. He has slept on the staircase of the Supreme Court. He has fought when the lawyers have left him. He has argued his own case, so much so that the Indian government for the very first time has the constitution pay him.
Top stories from across the nation. The Prime Minister, along with officials of the Uttar Pradesh government as well as the central cabinet, inaugurated the Bundelkhand Expressway. The 296-kilometer 4-lane expressway has been completed within 28 months. During his address at the inauguration of the Bundelkhand Expressway in UP, the Prime Minister referred to a fight against what he termed Revdi culture, alluding to freebies and subsidies used by previous governments in order to win votes of the people and do the bare minimum during their terms.
That one will wait for, but viewers, if I can just share with you this, that the reason I feel this is an unfinished movie in that sense, because one part of the story is still to be told. And I'll put it simply, and maybe Madhavan can express it better than me. My view, and why it is important that we read about this story and we watch this film and we get into it in detail, is because one has to understand we are at the 75th year of our independence, about the conspiracies that have happened against our country, and space is one of those areas. And in the fullness of things, we never actually look at these aspects in detail. Has India ever been the target of a sustained global conspiracy? Now consider one thing. The senator who is referred to by Nambi sir right now, as he spoke about the US Senators Committee Chairman in 1992, who was opposed to the transfer of that cryogenic technology to India by Russia was none other than the US President Joe Biden. So 30 years later, this is one aspect which we're just sharing here. Now, American politicians like Joe Biden and others would always look at American interest, American space interest, American sovereign interest. But we must not discount the possibility that to defend their interest, they can attack ours.
When have Americans ever played fair?
And I think that becomes the central theme here, which is why it's not just about the conspiracy behind this and your personal trauma. It is, I think there should be a national awakening on this. Because whenever we talk about these conspiracies against the country, India at the intersection of global games, there are a lot of people who poo-poo the idea and sort of shrug it away. Does that not stay in your mind, Madhu?
No, it's irritating. And if truth be told, I'm in admiration of the US when they do something like this. You know, you need to have that sort of nationalism in you. Forget about taking care of yourselves, which they do. They keep an eye on the entire world to make sure nobody else beats them. They take care of their assets like they're gold. They go around the world and get talent from around the world and make them their own. We're so lackadaisical on that aspect. We're so belief that everything will be taken care of ourselves and we're fine. India has never gone aggressive on those fronts. We've never gone and harnessed somebody else's technology or stopped somebody else's progress. I think it's about time that even if we don't do that aggression, at least we learn from the Americans and other people on how to take care of your own. And I'm in awe of these people. I am. I mean, as a government, as an organization, as a country, the way they take care of their own. And I think we should learn from that.
Absolutely, we should. And we should also somewhere, I think about what you went through. Because while it seems shocking, and while I'm sure it's left a great scar on you and your family, I think people of this country must know that one of India's greatest space scientists was subject to third-degree torture. And you know, when I was watching those scenes, I felt angry. If you don't mind, purely if you don't mind, I want you to tell me what happened on that day of your arrest and after, and what you went through personally. And whatever you can, Nambi sir, what impact it had on you personally.
It is difficult to narrate what happened on that day. But globally, I can tell you that there was a physical torture which is shown in the movie, and much more than that. I was more or less forced to stand without water, without a seat to sit for close to 30 hours. Why I say I didn't have the track of time, but I know that it is close to 30 hours. Then I fell down, and in fact they asked me that you know, in their own language, they asked me all kinds of names, and then they said, so you don't deserve a seat. Then I asked for water. They passed water on my face and things like that. So I asked them. After some time, one fellow, is an old fellow who came to me. He came to me and then said, Nambi sahab, please don't mistake us. You know, you come and bring a chair. And then somebody brought a chair and he asked me to sit down. I said, no, I won't sit. Why you won't sit? I said, you call me a traitor. Now, a traitor doesn't deserve a seat. Are you accepting you are a traitor? No, I am not accepting. You told me you are a traitor. Unless you withdraw that, I am not willing to sit. How long you will stand like this? I said, as long as my physique permits me, I will stand like this. Are you on a satyagraha? He asked me. It's the first time it occurred to me that this is what is satyagraha. So I believed I didn't believe in satyagraha, but if this is satyagraha and if this is going to create some kind of a change in their mind, I started liking it. But anyway, I fell down. When I fell down, I was semi-conscious. So they were trying to lift me and then put it on a cart. And then they were trying to talk to each other, saying that, you see the other 5 guys sitting there, no, we are the people who are going to face the music. We will be in trouble, etc., etc. They were blaming each other. Somebody else sitting and controlling and directing them to do this. Okay, then this is what happened on that 30th and 31st of December. And by the time these guys came, CBI, they were supposed to hand over the case to CBI. I didn't keep track of time, light, because it was a closed room. And they were trying to take videograph of whatever I am talking. And then later, which I understood, they produced the videos of people who were my colleagues who were arrested along with me, and some of them have accepted that they have done the crime. Then my video they couldn't give any because I didn't accept any crime I have done. But they were forced actually, and they were also maybe same third degree methods were applied on them. But one thing became very clear, that somebody is after making us to say that we have done this crime. Okay. Now that somebody is an Indian. That much is also clear. Maybe it is under the instructions or as a favor to somebody else from abroad, which we are yet to understand. Now, who is that Indian is the question mark. Now, it could be a person from IB, it could be a person from the Kerala police, or somebody who is directing them, could be somebody else also, we don't know. But we have reasons to believe how things are going in that mode. For example, when they come to know the flight was coming through Karachi, which was considered to be some kind of a secret matter.
I think we should fly to Karachi, refuel, and then fly to Trivandrum.
Karachi? The Americans would never imagine that we would take rocket parts to a hostile enemy nation, and the Pakistanis would never search a Russian aircraft.
That makes it very clear that they were told that the flight is going. And who could have been it? It could have been. It is not suddenly the Prime Minister or Chairman ISRO. It is somebody else. These are the kind of informations you have. With this, you have to complete the cycle of investigation.
No, so we've not joined the dots yet. If a local policeman gets to know that a cryogenic engine that is coming from Russia, first of all coming from Russia via Karachi to India, that would be very classified information. It would only be information that is available at the highest level in very secret quarters, am I correct? Very few people in India would know about it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Now, these are things to be completed. Maybe they have completed. You see, the Jain's Commission, which it went through.
No, but who would know about this? Who would know?
See, you are now talking about 18 people who are supposed to be suspected to be the accused. Now, they have been interrogated or being done. That work is right now going on. Some of them may confess, some of them may tell who told them and why I don't know what they have told.
No, when we are talking about the element of conspiracy, my question is that classified information about India's space program at that point of time, which is available to you and only maybe very few people in your small cohort, that information may have been available to a foreign power that was keeping track of India's space progress.
True.
So maybe the American intelligence agencies would know about it.
Sure. You see, the point here is, as Madhavan was telling, America has not done a crime in respect to Indian angle. They have done and tried to protect their interest. They wanted no competitor for that particular technology. In fact, it is their job. It is our job to see that we do this and then get this done. Now, here we have some people who were working against our own interest.
In India?
In India.
And they are the real traitors?
They are the real traitors, you are right.
And who are they?
No, the only thing is I can only say with some probability theory, somebody from IB, somebody from Kerala police, we don't know. This can be brought out by interrogating them properly.
Somebody from the IB?
It could be from IBs, it could be from, you see if it
was somebody from the Intelligence Bureau,
yeah,
that somebody could not have done it without some approval politically. This was too high profile a case. It was all over. The state government was falling over it.
No, you are raising that somebody, whether he can be connected to the topmost in the country.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Honestly, I don't know. But personally, if you ask me, personally, none of our politicians would do a crime of this nature.
Why do you say that?
Because they will be suddenly aware that they will be caught. On the other hand, they may be corrupt, they may
Caught
be...
in what?
Caught by law. Caught by... For example, let me ask you one question. Have you ever come across any of our politicians on conspiracy theory like this?
Would they talk to us on this? They wouldn't.
No. Have you ever found out somebody who charged for conspiracy theory like this?
So there is a case out there. And I investigated this earlier. It was called the Purulia arms dropping case, and I was very, very involved in investigating it. And there was an individual called Peter Bleach, and there's an individual called Kim Devi. And as I started finding out more details about this case, Peter Bleach was a sort of a double agent, weapons dealer, and Kim Devi was the surreptitious character who was, I think, been arrested earlier, and India is trying to get him extradited here. But the problem, so that was a conspiracy, and I have never been able to understand, Madhavan, that how could a plane carrying weapons fly into Indian airspace, drop the weapons in a state that was ruled by a Marxist government, where the weapons would have been used against the sovereign interests of the country itself. But later, as I investigated the case, I found out that this could not have happened without complicity at the highest political level within the country, including in the escape of some of these people. Politicians were involved. So both at the highest level and at the state level, etc., there was a complicity of politicians. So in answer to your question, that case proves to me that sometimes politicians in India can act against India's national interest.
I don't know, but let me tell you, I happen to have some discussions with the topmost people during the case period. At least to me, they were not during the period of this spy case, but earlier, when the contract was being scrapped and when we were trying to do something. I can't do it without the approval of people. I can't carry, so for that part, when I asked, I got full support from them. Now, if that somebody is against the interest of the nation, I felt that he could not have given me that approval. He could have easily, in fact, that was the easiest thing for him to achieve what he wanted. So this is my assumption using my own experience, my own exposure to the entire case. Now, you could be correct. I am not going to rule out. Maybe not the topmost man, maybe somebody else in the vicinity of or some. I don't know. But as I said earlier, anything can happen. But here I am.
Who is the topmost person who you are referring to?
I was talking about the Prime Minister.
The then Prime Minister was P.V. Narasimha Rao.
Yeah, P.V. Narasimha Rao.
You had spoken to him?
Yes.
Personally?
Yes.
At the time when you were bringing this cryogenic engine from Russia to India via Karachi?
No, but we were doing everything legally.
No, you were. But the Prime Minister of India was in the know.
He was in the know.
Because without political approval, it can't happen.
No, he asked me the questions, whether anything is illegal, whether anything... I said, nothing is illegal, everything is legal. Then he said,
it was a phone conversation?
Pardon?
A meeting? It was a meeting or a phone
It was a meeting in his own. Actually, Chairman ISRO was also there.
Chairman ISRO was
also there. So we didn't do anything illegal. We were doing legal, but we wanted to get the approval for processing purposes. For example, when there is an Air India who can bring in this material, why I went to Ural Aviation, I have to explain. So I told that this fellow doesn't want to, and I have no time to do that. All I want to do is faster. So I have to go for Ural Aviation, and then for which is a purchase violation. It is not, you can't explain it. So I told, he said, yes, I approve it of.
So question comes here, and the question which comes in my mind is, if the Prime Minister of India at that time, P.V. Narasimha Rao, has met you along with the Chairman of ISRO and knows what he is doing and knows the service that this does to India's space industry, then the Prime Minister sees you arrested a year later or within the year and a half later, sees what you're going through, knows the charges against you are false, a message from a Prime Minister, he would get a report that this technology does not exist, the charges against you are fabricated.
No, what?
The state government that is going against you, going after you, is also a Congress government. And it's a Congress government in Delhi. Then why did the Prime Minister not intervene?
What he could have done, according to you?
According to me?
Yeah.
According to me?
Yeah.
According to me, the Prime Minister could have done things directly and indirectly. Directly, which a politician would not do because he was a politician, he could have stepped in himself, issued a statement, or he could have done it indirectly through ISRO. He could have told the Space Department and ISRO, which comes under him, directly through the Prime Minister's office, that please give a clarification that this technology does not exist, and therefore technically the charges against him are false. You would have been exonerated in a day, you would not have been tortured, you would have come out a hero within the next 1 week. And the Prime Minister would also have known that if this person is pulled out of the program and removed for a year and a half, the Prime Minister would have known the impact that would have had, Nambi sir, on the program which you had described to him for. So the Prime Minister knew. So am I wrong in my assessment?
No. The second part, he may or he may not be aware. Namely that if you pull me out, the whole program will collapse.
He's not a scientist.
Yeah, he's not a scientist. But he, according to me, he would have thought, this has happened. Now, what can be done? Now, he cannot directly interfere, or he cannot. There was a request from the government, state government, to hand over the case to CBI, and then CBI, the case was handed over in 3 days' time, something very fast. 30th November I was arrested, 5th of December the case is with the CBI. Now, a reliable agency, and it is out of the hands of some people who are fabricating it. But somebody is arrested, yes. I know that he is.
But the charge against you exists.
No, it is. But let us see, the court is there, and then the materials. No, I am only trying not to defend anybody. I am only rationally thinking, because I am the agitated fellow.
Yeah.
If I would have suspected him, then I would not be talking like this to you. I would be saying, yes, I also suspect him. But I feel this is somebody else. Now, that somebody else, for not only one reason, there are many reasons for this. We have to, for example, if somebody is asking me, why you went to Karachi, then I look at him. Then I say, who is his boss? Then later when he comes and talks, see, I did for the 27 years, not just kept quiet. I went and met people, many people, including you. I have met press people, I have met media people, I have met police people, I have met retired IPS officers, retired IB officers. So many people I have met, including some politicians, only to understand what went wrong. So I am not in a position to agree to what you say, but there is a possibility what you say could happen.
No, okay, so maybe Madhavan, a scientist in this country is collateral damage. Maybe the lesson out of this is that easy meat. We defend all interest, including political interest. We don't defend our own scientific interest. The scientific community at that point of time, for 2 years later they came out, but for that point of time they were quiet. I don't think the India scientific community, the intelligence bureau, the state government, even the central government at that point of time could have been quiet without all. There have been some understanding between all of them that it's okay, it's unfortunate, but Nambi Narayanan is collateral damage. Blame it on him, and let it be. That's the way I look at it.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Now that you've crossed these points, and it makes me think. I mean, if the highest echelons of the government as well were in touch and know about what Nambi Narayanan sir was doing, then why keep quiet for so long? Why just let the case carry on? There could be two reasons. One is maybe they didn't understand the implications of implicating somebody like Nambi sir and the impact of that on the ISRO and the space research.
Possible.
Maybe just thought it's collateral damage, he'll come out of it, what's it, just 50 days in the jail. But unknown to them and known to somebody else smarter than us was the fact that there was an entire program being derailed. But the more I listen to you, I think it begs people to think a lot harder and why so many people kept so quiet for so long.
When we started our channel, Madhavan, there was a massive protest around a nuclear reactor. and it had been played up in the Western media as people of India rise in protest against a nuclear reactor, and these visuals were played up in the foreign media.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just mentioning, but you know, and it later came out that there were commercial interests involved, that we were buying a particular, I mean, I don't know the scientific terminology, but we were buying the technology from one particular area. I think it was the French in that case, and we were not buying the technology from someone else who was a Japanese who had been bought over by an American company. There were American corporate interests involved, and all of this was talked about. But eventually our channel had carried out a sting operation and done a detail where we actually we're compelled to do these things sometimes, sting operations, not that we like to do it, but it was done because it ended up exposing how some activists had been quote unquote paid directly or indirectly elsewhere through American interests, and who in turn had paid the people to protest. And so then you know, it makes us think whether there are people in our country who are willing to sell out, you know, to foreign powers, to compromise our sovereign interest.
It's a simple thing. I was shocked when the COVID thing happened, for instance. And
Yes.
I was abroad at that, you know, one time between the things. And there was this large spike in the number of deaths, Arnav. Okay? And I saw this foreign media, and from visuals from our country, well, let us say in America, there were, let us say, 300 deaths in a day. When you bury 300 people, it's not a gory sight. But if you have 300 cremations in a day, and because the crematorium cannot organize that, you see so many funeral pyres burning, it looks like there's mayhem in that country. And you play up that visual so much and say, hey, you know, even though 250 people died, it looked like the whole city is burning. And they kept playing up that visual. And I just thought, you know, why would it not be something as sensible and smart to understand? Why would you want to project
Because
the
there's a stereotype of this country that has been created out there. And I think the amazing thing about Nambi sir is that he's still fighting.
Yep.
The reason I wanted to really meet you today, when Madhavan said I have to meet you, is where a lot of thoughts came back to me, and I think it's amazing that you're still fighting. Why are you still fighting? What are you fighting for?
And sorry I'm intervening here one second.
Please go ahead.
It's not just him, Nambi Narayanan sir. You must understand that he is a scientist in ISRO, lower middle class, not even middle class. They are lower middle class kind of payment. This man has fought a case on his own with no help.
No help?
No help, sir. And he has fought the case right up to the Supreme Court. He has slept on the staircase of the Supreme Court. He has fought when the lawyers have left him. He has argued his own case, so much so that the Indian government for the very first time had the I don't even know if you know that, but has the constitution pay him. That's happened for the very first time in history. So it is a pat on the back for our judiciary to be able to.
No, but the struggle is extraordinary.
Extraordinary. So common man to have done that.
That's the point. See, it's different today. Nambi sir, there's a book of yours. There's a movie around you. Wherever you go, people know you. You have been awarded the Padma Bhushan. You know, the Prime Minister meets you. It's different now. But then if I can take you back, because it'll inspire a lot of people to know what it is that kept you going. You know, even after 98, you kept fighting. You wanted to be compensated. It became a symbolic battle. We need to know about your struggle.
No, actually, it's not as complicated as one thinks. It's very straightforward. 94, the case happened. 96, I was cleared by the CJM court. 98, I was cleared by the Supreme Court. Afterwards, till 2018, I was fighting the case. Primarily an attempt to punish those people who have done this crime. So I was asking the CBI why they could not proceed against the people whom they think as the criminals. But the CBI said that is not in their terms of reference. They found out this case is not there, so I said it is unfair. You should find out. But they didn't cooperate with me.
Why not? Because the CBI can look into the angle of criminal conspiracy.
Sure they can. They didn't do it. That's a fact. But I asked them. They didn't do it. And they justified it saying that it is. See, in this country, a helpless person like me The only savior you see in the visibility is the court, judiciary. So I went to judiciary, kept on fighting the doors, till I achieved what I wanted. What I wanted to achieve was to punish those people. So I think we have reached a stage where so many people are now named as suspected, accused, and there is going to be a trial between the CBI and those people. I feel I have achieved my job which I wanted. I am not still fighting. I am only a primary witness in that case between the two people.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge.
I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
'94 the case happened, '96 I was cleared by the CJM court, '98 I was cleared by the Supreme Court. Afterwards, till 2018, I was fighting the case, primarily an attempt to punish those people who have done this crime.
This man has fought a case on his own with no help, and he has fought the case right up to the Supreme Court. He has slept on the staircase of the Supreme Court. He has fought when the lawyers have left him. He has argued his own case, so much so that the Indian government for the very first time has the constitution pay him.
See around you, you have an Elon Musk, you have other people who are conducting space tourism. We would have become a powerful space country. When there is a Los Angeles Times reports that Senators Committee chairman wanted a cryogenic contract to be scrapped, and Russians were afraid. I have seen with my own eyes the letter written by them. I started losing my faith in the entire thing. So many adjournments were there. I go there.
You fly from Trivandrum to Delhi.
Like that 19 times. Then I said, this is the end of it. I am not going to go anymore. As I was hoping, God came to my rescue.
The center has listed.
Point I am making is, eventually I have won. But a process could have been slower. But anybody would have run out of patience. I am not saying no. And more importantly, I consider God to my help gave me not only the mental strength, but my life. See, I am old. I could have kicked the bucket any time. The case would have been over. Nobody would have bothered to look at it anymore.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 9 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, mass comm, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
The centre has listed 24 bills, including the Cantonment Bill, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Bill, for introduction in the monsoon session of Parliament. As per the bulletin issued by the Lok Sabha Secretariat, the Cantonment Bill proposes to achieve greater development objectives and facilitate ease of living in cantonments. Similarly, The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Bill seeks to introduce provisions on cross-border insolvency. The government has also listed the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Bill, which proposes to rationalize the prohibited areas and bring other amendments. In a move, two separate bills for constitution amendment to revise the list of SCS and scheduled tribes (STS) for Chhattisgarh and Tamil Nadu are also listed for introduction. Monsoon session of Parliament for this year is set to commence from July 18. Bureau Report, Republic TV. Two students were attacked in Madhya Pradesh's Ujjain as they were on their way to the Mahakal temple in the city. The assailants reportedly carried the attack out in order to disturb the communal harmony in the city, with the attack being a conspiracy to bring such intentions to effect.
मेरे से पीछे से उन्होंने थप्पड़ मारा मेरे को पीछे सर पे। हमने पूछा कि भैया मारा क्यों, तो उन्होंने डायरेक्ट आके गाली गलौज की। उन्होंने बोला कि इधर कहाँ जा रहे, तो हमने बोला कि हम महाकाल के दर्शन करने जा रहे थे। उन्होंने बोला कि इधर से तुम्हारा इलाका नहीं है, और हम तो उन्होंने मारने लगे और उन्होंने चाकू निकाले तो हम भागने लगे, तो मेरे को पकड़ के उन्होंने चाकू मार दिया।
Activists of a Hindu organization gathered around the police station near the Mahakal temple, demanding immediate action over the incident. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, at a book release of an eminent poet, sounded caution over anti-Indian elements and said that vested interests were conspiring to damage the sovereignty and integrity of India by provoking internal strife. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Top stories from across the nation. The Prime Minister, along with officials of the Uttar Pradesh government as well as the central cabinet, inaugurated the Bundelkhand Expressway. The 296-kilometer four-lane expressway has been completed within 20.
Again, you're underplaying it.
I'm not.
Why do you underplay?
It is not under.
You seem to diminish what, any difficulties that you've been through, just like you diminish your own vision for what you had. Again, it's your scientific temperament, but I want you to tell people about what you've been through. You make it look like dates. It's not dates. It's not dates. It's not 1994, 1996, 1998. There's a lot that you went through in between. The social ostracization, what your family went through. There are moments in the film where even the priest would refuse to recognize you in a temple when you were thrown out of the auto rickshaw. I think it's necessary people get to know about this. And if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. But I think it's important people see what it has been through, because I think it will inspire a lot of people to fight back. I think the amazing thing about you, I was thinking this morning, is that you're still fighting.
Arnab, the moment I met him,
yeah,
and I started talking about his story and the fact that I wanted to make this film, I remember the two things he said I never forgot. One is, I told him, I said, if you think I'm going to pay homage to you and show you as a holier than thou guy who was wronged by the nation with no fault, then I'm not the guy to make a movie. Please tell me, did you really have diminished qualities in you? Tell me your negative qualities. Tell me what you are not very proud of. Any other, I asked him, did you have an affair with the Maldivian woman? Any other 75-year-old man would have said, mind your language, young man, and know who you're speaking to, but not him. He said, let me tell you all the things that I'm not proud of as a human being. And the things he said, we've actually kept in the film that makes him almost inhuman in the eyes of society, right? But the other thing he told me is, if you're making this film because you're feeling sorry for me, or because you want people to feel sorry for me, please, I don't want your sympathy. I will not be able to I will take anything, but I don't want sympathy. So please don't show me sympathy. And I think it's that instinct of him that underplays everything.
That's good.
It is true, Arnab. Let me tell you, I am not underplaying. Maybe my style of functioning could be like that. When I talk of combustion instability, combustion itself is a complex subject, and when you are talking about instability, you have 13 variables, but you have only 10 equations. So with that, you have to solve the problems. It's difficult. I consider anything which is given to me, consider that it is possible to do. Nothing is impossible to me. So this is the way I train my people.
So, you know, for us Indians who have to walk for 2 kilometers to get 3 liters of drinking water and use it between the two of us for 3 days, nothing is quite impossible.
This is the way I talk to them. This is the way I think about it. And this is the way I have won the case. In fact, honestly, I'll tell you, it may appear when I said that if November 30th, if this would not have happened, we would have become in par with any other country. I mean it. It is not that I forgot about technology. It is anything is possible, provided you have the mind and willpower to do it. Otherwise, what do you think we would have done on this Vikas engine? It is an engine which never fails. It is not just a joke. It is a complex technology. Now, the question I am saying, it is my style of functioning means I am not underplaying. I am saying all my people, whomever you meet today, they all will share for them nothing is complex. Yeah, okay, when we fail, I'll tell you one narration. When everything is solved, the problem is solved, we were going for the final firing of a full stage.
What have you done for the impurities of the water?
We've installed a filter.
Guys, the water is sandy. The sand is going to get deposited on the filter.
As the time progresses, the calibration will keep varying.
5, 4, 3,
Things could explode.
1.
You're talking about the Vikas engine?
Vikas engine. It failed in 45th second or something like that. Everybody was upset. Honestly, we go systematically, this is a flight hardware. Everything is considered to be, believe me, none of the people in my team were upset over that. They were all looking at each other with a questioning attitude. What could have gone wrong is the question. And believe me, I am telling you this for record. We found out the reason, which was not easy to find out. And within 48 hours, we solved the problem and they refired it once again. Here I have to insist. When I say in 48 hours I solved the problem, means I made a tank. This tank, one company took 2.5 years to make it. 2.5 years. Now we found out the problem with the tank. So we took out the tank, we cut it open, and then we put our own things there, and then set it right, all in 48 hours. That is where the whole thing comes. You identified the problem, you found out a solution, and you executed a solution, and you successfully fired it.
Did you get anxious there about whether it will be successful?
No, anxiety, I don't know. Anxiety was there. Anxiety was there because, you know, it's the end of a program. You know, the Vikas engine in its full form is to be fired successfully with all its paraphernalia. So one remember in Vikas engine when we fired it in France, only one engine was there we have, or 1.5 engine. I should say one full engine and then some parts. And Professor Dhawan told, I won't give you anything more than that 1 crore. And out of 1 crore, 65 lakhs goes for the fuel alone. And all climaxes are there. So we went there. And just to make you comfortable, 39 boxes were shipped by us from here to France to test the material. 3 boxes were missing. And the damn 3 boxes went to Scandinavia somewhere. Your question is, I was anxious. What the hell, we have come here and I never had any. All right. So point I am making is, we got it. Then we reassembled it and loaded the whole thing. Every day they will come and load the propellant. Their condition of the wind should be in a particular direction, in a particular velocity. So today they were supposed to fire, wind was not in favor, call off. Like that they went for 21 days, every day. So we became also fed up, what the hell. The 21st day, everything is found suitable, so we are going ahead. So we went ahead, we were all condition we have told to all the people were 140 seconds firing. That is a requirement. But I told the man who is in charge of the firing that you look at me, I will let you know whether you stop at 140 or not. So it was growing to 135. He looked at me. I simply called him, gave him a signal to proceed. 140, 150, 160,
180.
180, 179 point something.
Param, increase. Some more. Param, increase it.
Everybody was looking at it. People were becoming jittery. Then finally we stopped it at 180, 179 point something. Why I went to 1, that is the capacity of the tank. You can't have more than that. No, question is, you ask, your question I am now answering. If I were shaky, if I were a little bit anxious or a little bit uncertain, do you think I would have gone from
But that's a scientific experiment. What about the legal fight? Did you get shaky or anxious or uncertain about your legal fight?
I was in fact...
That was my question.
Yes. Yes, I I should not say anxious, I became fed up.
Fed up.
I became, what do you call, I don't know, I started losing my faith in the entire thing. So many adjournments were there. I go there, they will say today's case, they will call and then they will adjourn it. The other side fellow would not have come. Like that, 19...
You fly from Trivandrum to Delhi.
I have to fly from Trivandrum to Delhi, Supreme Court. To and fro travel charges, that's about some 25,000 rupees, plus stay another 25,000 rupees. Then the lawyer on record 25,000 rupees. Then the real lawyer is 1.25 lakhs. Imagine totally it will come to something close to 2 point something. Like that 19 times.
19 times.
Then I said, this is the end of it, I am not going to go anymore. And luckily, as I was hoping, God came to my rescue. And the same 3-member bench who was listening to this, they didn't want any other conviction. They are looking at a person who is consistently coming for 3 years, sitting in the front row, listening adjournment and then vacating. There is nobody else coming. Like that. And then afterwards the drama was interesting. Actually God was playing. The 3 judges were answering questions of the opposition lawyers. I didn't ask. Only one thing I was asking was when they were asking for compensation. I kept on telling that I didn't file this case for compensation. Please look at my prayer. I have not asked for compensation. It doesn't mean that I am oozing with money. I have requested you to punish these people. And that too, such a crime should not take place anymore in this country. Anyway, that worked. They constituted the Jains Committee, and Jains Committee was headed by a retired Supreme Court judge, and that commission came with a recommendation of this. And now the point I am making is, eventually I have won. But a process could have been slower. But anybody would have run out of patience. I am not saying no. And more importantly, I consider God to my help gave me not only the mental strength, but my life. See, I am old. I could have kicked the bucket any time. The case would have been over. Nobody would have bothered to look at it anymore. So that way I feel. Then afterwards something dramatically took place. The Kerala Chief Minister came and outside the court he settled the matter.
So there are 2 things that you need to know before that. One, that in this entire world, there's only you who will care to and can prove that you're innocent.
And 2, more importantly, God forbid if something happens to you, this family will always be known as a family of traitors forever. And I don't think as a family we'll be able to live with that either.
So my point is, yes, we are delayed. I agree with you. And still the punishment has not taken place. I agree with you. But your suspicion of somebody else would have played the role in the conspiracy. Yes, I am not denying that. But my job is what is possible by a human being within the framework of law. I have done it.
Absolutely. I find it interesting that India's topmost space scientist has referred to God so many times. You are deeply religious, quite clearly, and you believe in divine intervention somewhere, having played a role in this. But if I look at your story, last few years, including the meeting with Madhavan 2016 that has led to this film, perhaps there has been divine intervention to make sure that you are not cleared, that your entire life story is told to a larger audience. I think that's at the core of it, isn't it, Madhavan?
Yes, absolutely.
And for you also.
Yeah, I just
this is more, is this fulfilling, very fulfilling for you, this last 6 or 7 years that you have given into this film?
Arnab, there was no rationale in doing this film. This film was way bigger budget than what my market would allow. It was, we were being shot in 3 languages. We were doing things in this film that has been never done in any film before. No prosthetics, nothing. It was just a free fall, and the entire unit was doing it not because they wanted to prove a point, but they somehow felt overwhelmed to tell Nambi Narayan's story. I'm telling you, be it the junior artist who came, or the rain man who did the scene where we had that auto rickshaw scene, which is a single shot. Every one of them met Nambi sir, and their entire attitude towards the project changed. It is uncanny. Every time they would come to me, talk money about it as a normal profession, but they would meet Nambi sir and their approach would change. And that was, and that's how I'm satisfied that I managed to, change the narrative of how Google looks at Nambi Narayan sir anymore.
Yeah.
That has been the objective, and that's all I wanted. Sorry, you were saying something?
Arnab, I just want to recall here. I wanted to take the story of the spy case, not about my achievements, not about... So here is a person who comes and then tells me that he wants to do that. And he is doing it. And it has its required effect on the people. Now what do you expect me to do? He is a God-sent person.
Of course.
That's it.
Of course. No, I think it's absolutely right. And I think things have turned around for you. I think we admire you greatly. To end on a positive note, I want you to just tell all people watching this program about where you see India's space program now and where you see it, say, 10 years from now or 20 years from now. You spoke about a realm of possibilities when before we came in, you spoke about it, and Madhavan, who's clearly into it, is speaking of interplanetary travel, and you spoke about it with a simplicity that makes one think, wow, it is actually possible in India. See, this is 2022. Say India 2040. Where will we be if we move in the right direction and don't have any such setbacks in the future?
I'll tell you, you don't have to go to 2040.
Okay.
Even in 2030, that is 8 years from now, you could enhance your payload carrying capability by designing and producing an engine which is much bigger than the Vikas engine. This is number one. You are talking about a space station. You can certainly launch a space station with that capability. Now, when you do these two, I told you long back what we were planning, you can catch it up. And in the international scenario, very interesting. America is giving everything to private companies, and Russia is in its own problem, and China nobody bothers, though they are capable. We have a role to play. We have a space. We have to make use of it. What is required is the planning, funding, and the proper mindset. See, we were not having collaborative programs, for example. We are talking about our own companies coming to, they are asking for that we want to make PSLV rockets. I am just smiling. See, PSLV rockets are there, but you should why not you talk about something more, something big about, etc. So we can have collaborative programs, and we can have much bigger program. 8 years is not a small period, and your resources are good. You are in a very good wicket. Now, only thing is you should have the mind and then willpower to do that, and you will achieve. There is no question about it. That is my prediction for our own space program.
Well, we look forward to that. And when the Jain committee report comes out, then we shall meet again and we shall celebrate together.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully by the grace of God.
Yeah.
By the grace of God. It's always inspiring to meet you. And, you know, I must thank you, Madhavan, for doing this. And you know, I haven't really watched a full film, you know, at the time of the release, and I'm most grateful to you that you made me do that. But I think this is a must-watch for everyone. I thank you for the effort and for the technical detail and for the love that you've put into this film. And I think we share a mutual regard for this great man.
Absolutely, I can see it in your eyes, and it's wonderful to meet you and hear all that you have to say, Arnab. You know, you have your, I've been in great admiration of your strength and your courage. You do the same thing as Nambi sir does. I think this interest towards getting India greater again is one of the, is common between us, and I'm tired of corrective programs. I want to be progressive in terms of what we think about, and as a nation I'm very clear that we can do that.
Arnab, I am one of your followers. Most of your news I watch. And the way in which you conduct the program, I like it. Okay. Can I say that you are aggressive? I am aggressive. But my point here is, we discussed it for more than an hour.
Yes.
But at the end of the program, I find you visibly mellowed down. I am seeing it on you, honestly. And I feel that it is yourself understanding the whole project, whole thing, in a very, very positive manner, like what I have been doing. So I thank you very much for that.
So, thank you very much. I think we all are bound by one common purpose, to take India to the greatness that it deserves.
Yeah, absolutely.
With no impediments. So I thank you very much. And viewers, if you have liked this conversation, and if you know, if you'd like to share any messages for Nambi sir, I shall give you an email, and what I'll do is that I'll keep all your messages together and I'll send it across to
How nice.
Yeah, thank you so
much. And to Madhavan.
How nice.
Thank you very much for watching The Nation Wants to Know. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Three, two, 1, 0.
One thing became very clear, that somebody is after making us to say that we have done this crime. Now that somebody is an Indian. Maybe it is under the instructions or as a favor to somebody else from abroad, which we are yet to understand. Now who is that Indian is the question mark. '94 the case happened, '96 I was cleared by the CJM court, '98 I was cleared by the Supreme Court. Afterwards, till 2018, I was